Keegan,
Hello.
hey, how's it doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we all good. We all good. Can't complain.
We're doing well. So before we get started, I just want to let everybody know, Keegan is one of our supporters. We support him as well. He followed the page and we've had some interaction. We actually posted one of his videos that went crazy viral, right? And so Keegan's gonna share his story tonight, and I think again his story is very impactful. So if you're watching, stay tuned and tune in, and let's go. So Keegan, where are you calling us from tonight?
I'm actually back east right now, but generally in Southern California.
Southern
Cali in
California.
the house. Cali
Okay.
in the house. And how old are you?
I am 42.
42. How many kids?
I've got three boys, 10, 11, and 12, and a 7-month-old baby girl.
And how many were being alienated?
Three boys.
Three boys. So do you have all your children by the same woman or two different?
Nope. The new baby's with new wife.
Oh, okay. So this was an ex-wife that was alienating your children.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that answers the question.
That it was a marriage.
My next question was a situationship, marriage, but
Marriage.
So you're divorced.
so you divorced.
Short marriage, long divorce.
How long were you guys married?
18 months, and the divorce took 10 years.
Wow.
Mm.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right. So
Well, I guess we could just get into it because we never heard that before. So kind of just walk us through,
who's the deadbeat?
right? Who's the deadbeat? who is the deadbeat in your eyes? Who's the deadbeat?
Not me. I'll say that.
Okay. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, so before we get into it, as far as you guys, you said it was a short relationship. So who ended it?
So I did. I was the one that filed for divorce, but she had absconded with the boys. She was pregnant with the third. So in the video you posted, the baby that she had in her belly in the video was ours. So I filed divorce while she was pregnant with number three.
Okay, so just kind of walk us through it because three babies in an 18-month span, or maybe you guys were in a relationship prior to getting married. Is that how that worked out?
Yeah, it was a little interesting. It ended up being a shotgun type of wedding ceremony. We had the baby, and then we ended up getting formally married a year after. So we had our big wedding ceremony when she was 5 months pregnant. Had all of our friends and family. It was a great ceremony. And then 1 year later, we actually did the formal part with the court and the paperwork. And so the marriage started then.
How old were the kids after
Had an 8-month-old at the time, and then the boys came soon after that. They were bang bang bang. They're 10, 11, and 12 now. So
Okay, so stair steppers. Okay, so you hit. Okay, so that makes sense. So yeah, take us there. So you filed for divorce, and it took 10 years. Again, we've never heard that before. So kind of take us for a ride.
Take us
What that was
down
like.
nightmare
Nightmare
lane.
yeah.
Sorry.
So I'll give you a little bit of a precursor to the divorce, just to kind of set the stage.
Okay.
So while we were married, actually about 8 days after we filed the actual formal paperwork, she wound up arrested for domestic violence in a situation that, had my brother not been present in the home, I would have been the one in jail. So she had disappeared for the day. I had a bunch of, very weird text messages. Comes home intoxicated, heavily intoxicated, tries to take the 8-month-old out of the house. She's leaving. It's over. And my mom was also there, had actually kind of safeguarded the baby. He was asleep. It was 10 or 11 at night. And she had thrown her phone at me so hard that it stuck in the wall. And so she dialed 911 through the phone. And I'm kind of like, oh boy, this is ugly. Thankfully, my brother had called police when he heard kind of, her screaming and yelling upstairs. And so she went to jail. It was while she was in jail that I got a phone call that sort of gives you the flavor of my experience from that point forward. Was, if you don't get me out of jail, I'm going to ruin your life. Wow. And so I went to an attorney. I was ready to file for divorce. And a story I hear all the time is most men kind of second guess that moment. It was the white picket fence. I wanted to be married. I wanted kids. My Everything was going well. Work was great. Generally things were good. We were just married. We had just closed on a home. We'd gotten the keys 8 days before. And so I wanted to be able to look at my oldest and say, hey, bud, I tried. I did everything I could. My parents have been married and together since they were 13. So to me, it was forever till death do us part. Now,
so did you see any red flags before that incident?
Right. Which ones did you ignore? That's
all of them. All of them. I was a 27, 28-year-old guy that was successful. And now I will say this. I was told that she was on birth control. I was told that she couldn't have kids. And when I broke up with her, the next day she asked me to lunch and she told me she was pregnant. So that was sort of where I was like, oh, well, okay, I want to be a dad. And I want to do this.
Did you think it was
planned to trap you?
So I'll let you think about that answer, and I'll give you.
We know you love your kids, but
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like,
so what I found when I met her on Match. Let's start there. But the first 3 weeks 2 or 3 weeks that I was talking to who I thought was her, it was her mom.
What?
Her mom had been vetting and finding the right person. And when you ask if it was a setup, I will tell you that when she was about 7 months pregnant, she was rubbing her belly and she looked down at her stomach and she goes, I'm a millionaire. And I kind of was like, I ignored it. But when the second baby she was pregnant with, she's in the living room and she rubs her belly and she's like, I'm a 2 millionaire. And I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Oh man. So all right, so the time frame when you met her on Match to the time that y'all had your first child, how long was that?
we were pregnant. We met in I think February. We were pregnant in June.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
it was young and dumb. We give you that. None of us would be here if we wasn't young and dumb, right?
That's right. Kudos for trying to stick it out and do the right thing. Like you can't, there's no bad points for that. Yeah. So okay, it is crazy. You end up filing for divorce. Can you tell us why it took 10 years?
Yeah.
So California is difficult in itself. We were in LA. We were filed in LA County. It was very, as you saw in one of the videos of many videos, very, very contentious. We're talking, if I said the sky is blue, should argue it's green. So everything was an argument. So the court basically bifurcated the case. And what that means is they took the matter of custody and they said, we're going to solve custody. That's going to be priority number one. And then we're going to solve assets and liabilities. And so for the first year, we pursued custody. And that was a very daunting, heavy task in and of itself. She gave birth to our third while proceedings were kind of ongoing. And I'll give you some examples of what that experience was like. I wasn't told that she was giving birth to the baby number 3. I found out the baby number 3 was born 2 days later. Wow. I saw him for about 15 minutes before she checked out of the hospital. She didn't go with the name that we had agreed to. She named him her last name, and then she gave him her sister's middle name. Now the court ended up changing.
That's why.
They allowed her to do that, even being legally married?
Yep. And she left me off the birth certificate.
What?
So it was the court.
Technically, legally, you
still were the father because you were married. Okay.
That's right. So the court did change his name to my last name, which was like his brother's. When she actually did that, though, she still left me off the amendment. So I'm still not even on his birth certificate 10 years later, which is just petty. But
it's petty, and we all know that a court order supersedes a birth certificate.
That's right.
So you're his dad.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm dad for sure.
Okay.
Yep. The piece that was interesting too was I had 50-50 of the 2 older boys on an interim basis. And she argued that I couldn't see the baby because he was breastfeeding, every hour on the hour. But here's the things that you'd see at an exchange. She'd get in the back of her car and bottle feed him. So I couldn't have him because he was breastfed only, but she'd sit there kind of like breastfeeding him as if, kind of like type of
And
deal.
you were documenting
Yes.
early on, right? Because or did that start later?
Oh yeah. So I learned very quickly that I was in big trouble in one of our earlier hearings, just because it's sort of like interim orders, and then you're trying to get to permanent orders. I want to give you an example of when I knew the lengths to which she would go, and this is, I want to say, before the video or real close to it, somewhere in there, right? It's 10, 11 years ago now. I'm sitting in the courtroom hallways, and her attorney drops a file on my attorney, and she says, we're gonna raise these issues in court when we go in. And so my attorney starts flipping through the pages, and it's pictures of black lip or bloody lip, black eye, scratches, scrapes, legs scun up. And I kind of was like, oh no. And the attorney is like, what is this? And she's very upset with me because she thinks I'm in big trouble. And I kind of started to chuckle, and she's like, what is your deal? And I was like, and I reached down into my briefcase and I pulled out the phone that those pictures were taken on. Now, I knew that those pictures were taken before I had met her, and I'm a tech guy, so I knew that I could pull the metadata and prove that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we went into court and we made her testify to the validity of those pictures, and she accused me of having beat the crap out of her. Those pictures were evidence of the abuse that she had from me. Her mom testified to it. Her sister testified to it.
Oh my God.
Everybody. Now, I didn't have the
So
proof.
going with the silver bullet tactic.
I didn't have the proof that those were fake then, but I set the stage for when we go into trial to impeach
her credibility, basically.
on her credibility.
Yeah.
So I had an expert pull the metadata, do a full-blown technology report, and it was case closed. What she tried to argue at court in the trial was, that's not me in those pictures. And we're like, okay.
So you hit her with an impeachment.
Yeah.
Her,
So,
but you said her mother and her sister testified. That's crazy.
Yeah. All these people lying on the oath, but for what? So let's get to the $1 million question. She's bitter because.
Well, I filed for divorce while she was pregnant with number 3.
Okay.
I mean, that is a woman scorned if I've ever met one or seen one.
So let me ask you this: are you a millionaire?
No, definitely not after what we just went through. Anyway,
so like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Man, that's crazy. This is wild. This is wilder than I thought it was.
Yeah, like we just off the video, we knew that it was kind of crazy, right? But we could have never imagined that you've been going through everything you've endured for this length of time as well. Like, so that part alone, to have to fight someone just because of the state you're in for that longevity, just to file for divorce is crazy. Like, I've never heard it last that long.
So you said that was a year, right? That you got the custody of your kids, because so that was very important. I mean, just for the people that's watching.
Yeah.
He had 2 kids on the order, and if the other kid is not on the order, that's a whole nother case, and a whole nother fight that you got to go up against. So just keep that in mind. If you guys out there,
and he was married, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't. And I mean, the basis of being married, I don't want to sound callous because, marriage isn't for anyone. But the way we were taught, when you go through a marriage and it's legal, that's already sets the tone for you to already, pretty much have a basis when you go in court. But when it's just a casual fling or undocumented relationship, you're really going to have even harder time fighting because they already don't favor men in the family court system. And so just imagine what it's like going in there with nothing, no proof, no birth certificate. Most of our followers have to start from scratch. And so that's why, we wanted your story so that we could prove that marriage is a key part of why it's important to, be married and have kids, even if it doesn't work out, because these things still happen upon divorce, but it's easier to fight when you have that to start with.
Yeah. So, and you're not a tech guy, so you got to be a tech guy. He started early, man, collecting these evidence. So, all
I
right,
mean, things that I did too that were I'm like, I'll give you an example. I knew it was contentious. So we got an order after, like in the interim, that we couldn't have video cameras. So this comes up all the time. I actually helped a guy recently. He's like, I can't have cameras. And it's for men, that's a huge piece to protecting yourself, clearly, as the video shows in my case. So what I decided to do was I personally, without the order from the court, was I personally hired professional monitors to monitor my time with the baby, because I was getting an hour at each exchange, which was twice a week, so 2 hours a week.
But it
Um,
wasn't supervised. This was just per your choice.
per my choice. But here's the thing. What that monitor then did, they're an officer of the court. I came right from the court's list, and they took documented notes, timestamps, everything. But that monitor also got to witness the exchanges. So it wasn't like I had a mom or a sister. I had a professional monitor. But here's the
mm-hmm.
thing. The monitor got to witness and came into my case and testify to my parenting. And that's an uncomfortable thing for men, being monitored. I did it. It was self-inflicted, and it was one of the best things I could have done, because it gave me the stamina to say, hey, this is where I am as a dad, and here are the things that are happening in exchange. For example, she would spray the baby's head with her perfume for my visit. So he had a spot of perfume on the top of his head, and if I said that, she'd say no, 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 and she
For
actually.
what? To make you think of her while you're visiting
Here's
your
what's
baby?
crazy. She tried saying that I was doing it and accusing her of it, but a professional monitor again impeached her. The other thing she did, I'd
Mm-hmm.
get the baby who's a boy dressed in girls' clothing. And it's like, so it was a very petty experience all the way around. And
Man,
so
these women need to grow up, man. That's
these are the
crazy.
steps though that you have, like I took that saved me. And not everybody's willing to do that, but that's kind of the
Yeah.
point. If you want to be a parent and you want to be in your kid's life, that's the thing you got to do. You got to dig deep early, and you have to know that that's what it's going to take.
Yes. Yes. All bets are off. All the gloves are off. Like you have to go all in. Like
Mhm.
Okay, now get us back. So you said that was like the first year, right,
Yeah.
of the custody battle.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened the other nine? That's
So
crazy.
we had a 5-day trial in LA, which is unheard of. We had a 24-page statement of decision, which basically weaned the 9-month-old baby off mom and gave him to me. I had the boys call it 100% of the time. She had monitored visits. So they required a professional monitor to monitor her time, no overnights. It was a heavy visitation schedule because the kids are young and they should see mom.
Hmm.
But over the course of that time, it was consistently in court. She filed all the time. They were denied all the time. It was a very just it's a big, contentious, continuous battle on
So
everything
so what was she trying to
to
go
change
after?
custody. She'd appeal it, or she'd file a new motion to change the timeshare, or make some allegation around me frustrating her parental rights or infringing her rights. It was just a very
chaotic. So what was the legal basis that they switched custody for?
the totality of evidence. So the video you saw, a handful of other videos, the false allegations of abuse with the manufactured evidence of
Hmm.
pictures. So I'm I was very, very organized. Um, uh, so this is a
You're giving us deja vu, by
I'm
the way.
I'm
Yeah,
Because
trying to be very
that's how we want custody as well. Like it's
yes,
very important. I don't mean to cut you off, but document, document,
it's
document.
very important.
what,
Remain calm. Like you have to get this evidence because when you go inside that courtroom, the he said, she said, blah, 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 is just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's a waste of time. You got to
yep.
prove this stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go
So
ahead.
so I want to be careful because I'm basically what was happening was there was physical issues with the children in their diapering area. when I would receive them. So it was like a 2-2-3 schedule. And so I would have them. And when I got them, they would be diaper rashes 3 ways from Sunday. And I'd be like, okay, I'd obviously document it. And then I'd spend 2 or 3 days doing everything in my power to get them healed. I would document them when they went back. And that was a consistent thing because we had this. It was kind of like one of those things you give her enough rope to hang herself type of situation.
Absolutely.
Now, there were 2 parts to this. One, she was doing it to try to accuse me of not parenting them and causing diaper rashes.
Wow.
And 2, it was one of those things that I knew. So I was really diligent about it. And when it came up at trial, this was something that actually was one of those like nuclear bombs in the courtroom. She brought in the kid's physician and they were going through my evidence and she's dismissing it. That's just a normal thing and da 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 da. And we're impeaching her doctor or the doctor on the stand. And the doctor's clear. And this is the thing, people, like the doctor's lying on her behalf on the stand.
Wow.
We are torching this woman. The court stops the proceeding and goes, hold on. Like, I've had enough. I've had enough. He asked the question, is what's happening to these children, the evidence that fathers provided, can it be stopped? Like, is this something that's in somebody's control? And the doctor being asked by the judge was like, uh-oh, yes, it can. And we already have all the evidence that if it can be stopped, we know who it's happening.
Why does it keep happening?
And it was kind of like, boom, you're kind of like, oh boy, posed. Another, a scenario where you're impeaching somebody for lying.
Yes.
And that was kind of the thing.
Why would she constantly try to fight if you know you've been caught lying under oath numerous of times?
But this is good. This is good because what we went through in trial, we never experienced. We never even knew it was possible. Like you have to, go through this to gain the knowledge and figure out what these things are. And a lot of people, they don't have a clue. No. But please do not lie on anyone in the courtroom. Don't do it.
So yeah, and so to that point, right? Like I had plenty of situations that I could have exaggerated. Like I could have gone, I could have gone deep. And for me, it was, I really wanted to be able to, no matter what the outcome was, know that I was 1, going to sleep at night, 2, God was behind me. And 3, it was like, I stayed away from getting into the mud of that and having to track my own lies while trying to, argue against her lies. And so it just made life really easy in that regard. But to that extent, right, just as an example of like showing your credibility to the court was important. And for me, it was important as a man, especially. And so, for instance, in the video that you posted, I whisper to her dad, and I shouldn't have. And I know that. And that was the one mistake I made, right? But you don't see a whole lot of things.
We heard it. Yeah, I was going to say that the courts catch it.
So they didn't. But my attorney said, what did you say to him? And I was like, I whispered in his ear, go F yourself. And the court, you could kind of feel the court be like, did he just admit that? And I was like, yeah, I did. He had been chirping the whole time.
Right, he's invading your space. Like,
yeah, being a bully.
I've seen people get punched for less. It's like,
yeah. So it was one of those things where you're like, I just told the truth, and the truth will generally set you free. It's just hard to stay on.
True.
That's what you pay your lawyer for. He is your lawyer. That was that job to get you out of that situation.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. So, man, that's a lot. So in that situation, since you brought up the video, can you just break down like what actually happened in that video?
Yeah. So I always went with a witness. I always went with 2 cameras, a helmet cam and that camera that I used.
Man, you was prepared, man.
Dude, I had
This is key.
Yeah. So here's the thing. My witness couldn't come and I forgot my helmet camera. Now, that was a blessing because if I had only my helmet camera, or if I had my helmet camera, that's the only camera that would have been running. We wouldn't have had the angle that we had. So it was kind of luck. So I got there. I mean, listen, I'm head on a swivel all the time. Like you have to expect them to do something to you. Like it's just that's the reality of our situation. I see the camera up in the window. I zoom in on it. I mention it. That's never there. And they're welcome to have a camera in the window. That's fine. But in my head, I'm going, okay, like, pay attention. I also am aware that the next morning is a financial hearing where she's seeking spousal and child support, arguing unbelievable expenses, like insane expenses while living at home with her parents. Okay. So
Wow.
now I knew that. And I know that if I go to jail, she gets that judgment, at least on an interim basis by default, because I can't show. Okay. So everything kind of unfolds. I have a 9-month-old baby who I hand off to her second, but the first one son goes in. She's got a I don't know if it's a boyfriend or was a boyfriend or somebody to try to get me riled up. And I'm kind of like, please, thank you, take her. I'm glad, whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So which one was the boyfriend?
The one in the background standing by the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Nick. Nick was the boyfriend.
Okay.
So
No names.
oh, sorry. Well,
It's okay. It's already been out there. It's
in the
already
video.
publicized.
It's in the video.
Exactly.
So here's what you don't see really well, though. She comes down, and as I'm getting the baby out of the car, I'm looking out my rear mirror, and I see her turn off my camera. And I'm like, oh. So I'm leaning in on the baby, and her and her dad kind of just come in on top of me, and they're trying to pull the baby out. And I'm like, please God, here we go. And I'm just laying on him as I'm like, hold on. And I'm trying to like figure out what I'm going to do. And I get my arm out, I get to the camera, and you see them, like you see me kind of get it back on, and they step back.
Yeah.
So I put it on the roof. And by the way, I had no idea if I had it back on. I had no idea. So I'm like, back away. I kiss the baby, hand him to mom, go F yourself to dad, turn, and that's when he comes up on me. And like, I wasn't looking, but like I felt him kind of up on me. And by the way, I like, if I think about how I would react in the real world, anytime that would happen, I would tell you that my natural reaction would be to deck him. I would, period. I have no idea how my arm just stayed put, like, hold on. Like, I just was like, I'm not moving.
You put your kids first. That's what it was.
So yeah, he was a senior citizen, so kudos to you.
He does the LeBron. Okay.
Man, he was good.
By the way, if you slow the video down, you see her laughing while he's doing it. He almost takes the baby out of her arms as he hits her on the way down. And he throws himself off the pavement so hard. And you don't see this because the video goes off so hard that he actually injured his head. Like paramedics were there.
What? We saw his foot in the air. Where was his damn shoe?
Yeah. And this is his father. This is her.
Too?
This is her father, though. Like,
her father.
I get like women being catty and playing the game, but why is your father? Why is the father involved like that?
Totally.
Why is he doing that?
Clearly, there's some mental illness, allegedly.
So I end up. But by the way, what also I learned after the fact was before that happened, they had called the police. So I'm on the phone. I'm like, you need to call the police, like to the person I'm on the phone with, my witness.
Right.
And we call, but they were already en route. So they knew that they were going to do something, and the police were already on their way. So police show up because they were the initiating call. I get arrested, cuffed, taken to a cruiser. Her whole family pleads their case of I've assaulted father. And I'm in the back of the car for 45 minutes and they're taking my name, my date of birth. And I'm going, this is a setup. This is a setup. This is a setup. And I am not saying anything else. This is a setup. Finally, I was like, again, I didn't know if I had the camera on. I'm like, please check my car, check the camera. Go get the camera. Let's see my tape. I had no idea. I didn't know what the angle was. I didn't know if I captured it. Nothing, because it was all chaos.
Mm-hmm.
They go get the camera. I rewind it for them. I play it. Literally, they call the dogs off them. They stop all of their, statement taking, all of the police. And by the way, this was like, I want to say like 7 cop cars, like 10.
Wow. Oh, wow. It was a scene.
It was a scene. Come up and they make me replay it multiple times while they laugh and oh my God. And the lieutenant or whoever was there, he hands me my stuff, and he goes, "Leave this house. Don't ever come back without a police escort again in your life." And
That's
I,
the one thing, the only thing that we didn't see, right? You come well prepared, like my husband said. However, with the chaos and the just the predictable mess you were walking into, why didn't you ever choose to have a police escort? Did you think that it would stir up something worse than it was, or like what was the reason? Because that's almost what everybody tries to do, thinking that they can enforce things.
yeah, so that's a great question. And I think it was just in, if I recall correctly, is it was in motion. Like she wouldn't agree to it. And I wasn't going to not see the boys in that scenario. So we ended up getting the order to exchange the kids at the police station. But by the way, this is just a side note on that front, because even in the comments, though there were unbelievably sketchy shenanigans that took place, and I'd say a vast majority of poor behavior was exhibited at the police station, whether it's in the police parking lot after the exchange or in the lobby. So,
Wow.
and because police, this is the thing that guys have to remember, police don't generally get involved in domestic issues if there's not a fight. They're just going to watch you act a fool. Now,
Yes.
you still have to have your ducks in a row while they act a fool at a police station. And that is what happened. And so we did get there, but it didn't change a whole lot.
So my question is, this is a $1 million question. So you said she was pregnant on that video with your child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her boyfriend is sitting in the back watching all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did he think that his life is going to be any different? Like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
She's pregnant with your child. He's seeing that all this family just put all this stuff together to try to get you to go to jail. Like, why wasn't that his key to just get the hell up out of there and never come back?
Hey, listen, didn't we start this thing with like young and dumb or red flags go out the window sometimes? I don't know. And again, I don't know how serious they were.
Oh, you said worse. So that means he's not around
anymore.
No.
Oh, good. Because she needs to be alone for a while.
Oh no, she's remarried, has more kids.
Oh man.
So okay, let's fast forward a little bit. How was it from the parental alienation standpoint? Like sharing custody with her, how is that with trying to be as transparent as you can be? Like, what is that like? Because I know that this is still a uphill battle.
Yes.
This battle won't end until they can choose or they're 18. And I would say may not even ever end. But like I have monitor notes from situations where, and this is the problem. Her family were participants in this issue. Like I have monitor notes where the mom asked one of a 2-year-old, "Does your father hit you?" And it's like, he wouldn't even think of that. And the monitor had to intervene. I have a video of an exchange where she's calling me by my first name, not dad. She's like, "Keegan." And I'm like,
oh my God,
dude, like what? So then my 2-year-old is saying, Keegan. And I'm like, it's dad. Thanks very much.
Right.
That's crazy.
Little things like there's just this constant
subtle things, the things that we know.
Yeah, even now, like if I go to a baseball game while it's her time, she'll call the police and there's no restraining order. So like,
what do you mean?
She'll call the police asking them to have me removed from a baseball game, saying there's a restraining order. The cops will come. I'll show them the order. There's no restraining order. It's a public place. And then she tells the boys, well, if your dad shows up, we're taking you off the field and you're not going to play. So
you're saying like a game for the kids that baseball. You want to attend
and watch,
even though it's during her time.
Yeah.
She'll call to try to have you removed.
Yeah.
And then tell them they can't play. Now that's
where it gets sketchy.
That's deep.
Right? Because if I show anyway, which I could, they want me there, and I obviously want to watch. I'm a sports.
And you should be there.
But here's the thing: the negative impact is they don't get to play. So who's the problem in their eyes? Dad for showing up.
Exactly. Dad, would you just leave? Then that's the alienating part of it.
That's right.
What is the whole fight now? Because
She's moved on, right?
remarried, right? Money. Mm.
Yeah.
So with you having custody of the kids, does she have to pay child support?
No, I pay. So our custody arrangement has changed drastically over the years.
Okay.
We're joint now. The monitors went
Okay.
away. She got her her new husband has paid significant sums of money for litigation. So um, it's been a very wild ride. Uh,
Wow.
and so
So you don't have sole
no,
custody.
not anymore. Nope, not
Okay.
anymore.
How long did you have sole custody for?
3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And by the way, the reason is it's very there's a lot of reasons, but the number one being our judge retired. And
Okay.
so the judge
Okay.
who had a very tight pulse and handle on our case, in our case, by the way, when I say 5 days trial in LA, that's unheard of. You don't get that.
Mhm.
So when we got a new judge, things just went backwards.
And she
Um,
kind it kind of like slipped through the cracks. So the new judge gave her leverage,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean, leverage. And listen, the reality is this.
But how can you
Public,
switch custody though? Like,
no, I know. Public policy is that both parents should have their kids. And the judges in those situations have said on the record, listen, you can appeal and have legal standing to appeal, right? Like and win. But
Hmm.
if you're going to appeal after spending lots of money on attorneys just to protect your kids, it's 100 grand to go appeal something. Starting.
Yes.
And
Starting.
and appeals are not likely to happen. So
Exactly.
you go through the motions of figuring out, okay, well, what matters and how do you prioritize? And I will say this, I'm thankful because no matter what now, there's nothing she can do to hurt my relationship with the boys because I was able to protect them from the environment and the situations that would have ruined my relationship with them from an alienation standpoint. There were monitors in place. They have experienced this from a very young age. They know who mom is. I don't need to say a word about it. They know
Right.
exactly what their environment is. And so it was to me, all of the effort, all of the time is when it mattered most. I've saved my relationship with the kids. I understand what the process looks like. And, it's just an always ongoing battle that will never end. And that's why when I talk to other people, I'm like, you guys just have to be ready to dig deep,
Do,
dig
oh
deep.
yeah,
if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Um, I wish that I had a person like me in my life going through the process because there were a lot of times where I wasted time and money and energy and resources on things that were just part of the system. Money
Yeah.
that I wish I could get back, money that I could use today for different things, money that could be used for the kids. Quite frankly, there are points of negotiation that I probably should have considered earlier. Um, so it's
But could you reason with crazy?
no, well,
never.
that's a really good point because that's something else that comes up all the time is like, listen, we're not if you're not dealing with just a level-minded person, are you ever going to get to a point where there's common ground? And so the answer is
Right.
no, but you do have to pick your battles no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yes.
Yes, that is true, especially in a situation like this where it affects and ruins almost every aspect of everything and everybody. It doesn't pick and choose. Everybody that's involved has a devastating story to tell in regards to the trauma that they went through when dealing with stuff like this. So yeah, Keegan, that's a lot. That's
Yeah.
a lot. I didn't imagine that it would come to this,
It's
but
yeah. 10-year long divorce, alienated,
today,
fathers trying to fight.
today, you
Yeah,
have a
I mean,
new.
I've been accused of attempted murder, rape, or
Oh God.
Oh wow.
physical abuse. I've been accused of molesting the boys. You name it. Like
Crazy.
there isn't an allegation that I have probably not had to overcome at one point in our case. And so when I say like guys, you have to have an understanding that they will go to the deepest depths of hell to take you down. I mean it.
So you've remarried. You have a new baby.
Yep.
How? get us there, because I
Yeah.
know that we don't want to like not
Yeah.
highlight that, because that is where you are, and I just want to know, what was that like for your spouse? Even
Yes.
is it still crazy for
Oh,
her, or
Yeah.
so I was with another girl for a long time who was a great resource, great help through the process. Was really a very sound kind of stabilizing piece because it's hard. Like it's hard as a man to navigate these emotions and the challenges and where to go, what to do. And so that was good.
Exactly.
We separated, and so I was resigned to being single, like a single dad, happy as pig and pie. I can do everything with my kids that I want to do and come and go as I please. And I'd say, truthfully, I probably advocate for men to really reconsider marriage in a lot of cases, just from a choice standpoint. We ignore rather than we don't see. We see the flags, we just ignore them.
right?
Um,
Mhm.
Don't
but
just do it just because she's pregnant,
yeah, so
basically.
I ended up meeting my new wife, and it was one of those things where it was just a completely different experience. And I was like, listen, like I'm not going to let my past overflow and impact my future. And I still have a lot of future left from a relationship standpoint. I want to be married. I didn't necessarily want to have more kids. I was okay with the 3 kids I had.
Yeah,
But we had another, she had never had kids, so we decided to have children. But I will say this, when I first met her and had to kind of give her a this is my life, it was a lot. Like we had to take a pause from the call, and she had to kind of like digest it, came back, and then it was she's experienced some of this. Now, it's a little better in general, but like there's still all kinds of weird things.
Yes.
yeah. It
You know,
never ends,
like
like you said.
our social media is brought into court now. Like, oh, he's doing this and his new wife that, and look at her ring here, and it's like he bought this, and it's
But
so
for court, for what? She has the kids. She
And
has.
she's remarried.
Oh my
Why is he
god.
talking about your
Oh
wife?
my
it
god. I
and
mean, they're not gonna raise your child support because you have a social media platform, are
that
they?
no that and that's why, like, and for her, she's like, why, what do I have anything to do with this? Like, why is she on me? So
Hello, hello.
it's a
Yeah.
lot for a new spouse or a new boyfriend or
Yes.
a new girlfriend
Send
to go
send your
through the,
wife my love. Send her my love.
thank you. She's probably
Yeah.
watching.
Because yeah, because we honestly we've been married for almost 6 years, and we just now getting the chance to.
Focus just a little bit on us, because
Yes.
we have custody of the kids,
Good.
and
I love that.
we definitely understand what you've been through. I
Yes.
just want to thank you so much. We respect you. Thank you for your transparency. I mean, you're rare, because hearing that you coming from California, I've never
Never.
heard
Ever. Nothing
anything
good.
come good for a dad out of Cali. I'm sorry, we never
No,
heard.
no, and listen, I would say there probably aren't many people that have sat in a courtroom as much as I have, and not being an attorney, like just pure hours. I think the first year I was in court 27 days. I think that's a lot of court time
Yeah.
because you're only heard for a small increment of that, but you have to be
Yeah.
there. And I do. I mean, I was in the courtroom with David Hasselhoff once. It's but
That's
like
crazy.
he had his own case.
Wow.
But like you hear these men just get railroaded, and they're not getting a fair treatment. I don't care that the law says it's fair or it's progressive. Application of the law is not fair.
No.
And
Hmm.
listen, the reality though, we shoot ourselves in the foot more times than we should because
Yeah.
we don't know, we don't have guidance, we don't know what to do. We're we're just men. Like that's it. We're
Yeah.
dads, we're protectors, we're hard skulled. So it's a tough thing in California. The cases I've watched and listened to, good dads, they want to be there and they just don't get it. They don't
All
get
right.
it.
Well, thank you, Keegan. At this time, we'll give you opportunity to tell people about your platform and how you can help them. Or
And why you wanted to share your story with us.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
what was the drive behind you?
Yeah. So for the last, I mean, obviously a long time, I have accumulated an insane amount of knowledge around just the family court system. And I've helped and continued to help dads for years, just kind of informally on the side. Monitors would send me people, hey, he really needs guidance here or there. And so I wrote a book. I have all kinds of, I have everything kind of organized around analysis, economics, planning, and it doesn't matter what state you're in. The general notion is you have a strategic outline that you should be following just to kind of like get through the process, understand the layout. And so it's this year that I've decided I want to help more. I want to do more. I want to be more. And I want to be for as many men what I wish I had myself, because I could have done so much better in the process. I mean, I had success, but that I could have been even more successful. I could have had better peace of mind. I could have had stronger situations had I had a blueprint or a process like I'm trying to provide for men. Even guys who have been through, they're sitting on the low end of the totem pole. There are things that you can do to move
Yes,
yourself into a
always
better
something
position.
you could do.
And so really for me, it's Divorceology on Instagram, Divorceology on TikTok. Reach out. I mean, I have a free guide that kind of sets the stage on what you need to do, right? Like these are the key things to focus on. It's not going to go real deep. It's just to kind of like get your mind around what is it that you're looking at? What's staring you in the face? And it's a daunting thing. And for some guys, by the way, it may not be kids. It could be alimony. It could be spousal. It could be assets that I heard a guy the other day, he doesn't want to get divorced because he got married and made a ton of money, but he's like, he has no kids. He's an older guy. He's like, it's cheaper to keep her. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. It's getting more expensive
It's not
by the
worth
day.
your peace.
Man,
Right.
that's how we was raised,
priceless.
man. That's a dumb way of thinking.
So for me, it's just I've got the system in place to help like more and more and more, and I want to do that. And I think we as men generally need it. And I shared my video thinking it would have a few views. What we got is absolutely outrageous, and I'm so thankful because for me it's that. What should a man expect? And I think that video gives you kind of a taste into what's possible. And you see it. I see it on your page all the time. These guys, what they go through is crazy.
And this is why we do what we do, because the world need to see the raw and uncut truth behind what goes on behind the scenes of parental alienation. Like, people really don't even understand what it is. And I always say this, until people that's not being affected by it understand what it is, it would never change. Like, these women do things behind the scene, and then everybody just think, oh, he's a deadbeat.
Or it's him. He's the problem.
Yeah.
He's this, he's that. And, we're just not going for it.
Yeah.
So,
I
Keegan,
love it.
thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. The people are asking for part 2. So, we're waiting.
We got to get one of them police videos or something,
Yeah, right.
man.
In your vault, in your documentation pal, and send it over because they're waiting. They're waiting. But yeah, thank you so much,
man.
Yeah, guys, if you're whoever's watching, listening, if you need help, I don't care if it's communications, reach out. I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'll do anything. I'll help whoever I can. So
thank you.
Thank you so
all
much,
right.
man. Have
Thank
a
you
good
guys.
night.
Love your
Enjoy
stuff.
Friday.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.